Now, before getting into the actual presentation, I want to give you some insights on MindsMapped. Who is MindsMapped? It's a trusted online platform to shape your career dreams, and we have been striving in helping individuals to develop a solid foundation for their career so they can be successful and advance professionally. So what are we doing? What are we offering in MindsMap? We offer learning solutions that cover broad spectrum for our candidates. And depending on how you want to learn and what way fits best for you, I mean, you have the flexibility to learn. And we have multiple delivery modes as well, and we cover a wide variety of trainings. And I think you have this YouTube video. I mean, you can go through this video to get more information about MindsMap and how our structured program can help. I mean, as I said, we have experienced and the knowledgeable trainers who can train you on your BA skills, and we provide high quality training materials, and for those materials you have lifetime access, and we use real life scenarios and case studies, and you have got your assignments using real life scenarios. You have got your assignments, and you have got the assistance with resume preparation and interview preparation. That's how our structured program can help you. So more details, I mean, the advantages of MindsMap training, you can get into this YouTube video, and you have other feature related information in our site, MindsMap site. So you can go through these links. Now, what are the essential skills of a business analyst? Because I have seen, I mean, many of you are coming from a different background, and you may have this question whether I will be able to survive as a BA or not, whether I'll be able to successful in this career or not. So for them, I mean, the essential skills would be like, these are the, whatever you're saying, the communication, presentation, writing, listening, and critical thinking. These are the 5 skills, mandatory skills for a BA to be successful in his career. Why I'm saying is communication, because all the time you have to communicate your requirements, because your primary responsibility is to gather requirements, like whatever the requirements the client is giving, you need to gather those requirements and you need to communicate those requirements to the technical team with which you are working. So that's the reason communication plays a very important role uh, in the career of BA, business analyst. And apart from communication, you also need to present the information. Whatever the requirements that you have gathered, you need to present them in such a way that the technical team should be able to understand the requirements without any issues. So that's the reason you need to have presentation skills. Writing ability. This also plays very important role, because it's not just about gathering requirements or communicating your requirements, but you need to document the requirements. So whatever the requirements that you are trying to gather, everything should be documented in a perfect way, in an understandable way. That's the reason you need to have writing skills. And listening skills. If you don't get the requirements properly, then the project would not be successful. That's the reason you need to have listening skills. So you need to carefully listen to the requirements, you need to gather them, you need to communicate them, you need to present them, and you need to document them. So that's the reason listening skills plays a vital role. Critical thinking. This is another important skill that you need to have. Critical thinking is because you're a problem solver, so you need to have critical thinking. Like, you need to provide solutions to an existing problem, or to improve. I mean, problem in the sense, if you are trying to improve your application or a software or a feature, you need to provide solution for that. That's the reason you need to have critical thinking. So whether you come from a non-technical background or a technical background, these are the essential skills of a business analyst to be successful in his career. Okay. Now, before giving you the information about the project, I want to understand what do you know about projects. So let me know what is a project. So let's make it more interactive. So whatever you know, you just let me know like what is a project.
Um, I can I go? I can answer that.
Yes, please.
A project is a temporary task to either achieve a goal, which could be a service or product or a result.
Yes, you are correct. Anybody else?
Something which has a start and an end.
Correct. Correct. So a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service or result. In other words, it's a planned set of interrelated tasks to be executed over a fixed period and within certain cost and other limitations. So temporary means having a definite beginning and end. So the end is reached when the project's objectives have been achieved or if the project is terminated for any reason. And temporary does not mean it's short in nature, because products can be it can be a large project or it can be a medium project, like a large project in the sense, example, like a 10-year project. For example, sending a man to a moon is again a project. So it can be a small project, it can be a large project. So that doesn't mean it is temporary. And secondly, each project creates a unique product, service or result, because there are some repetitive elements present in each project. But the output must be unique. Though there are some repetitive steps you perform, the output of that project would be unique. That's the reason each project creates a unique product, service or result as defined in the definition. Now, how many types of projects we have? We have fixed bid projects and billing projects. What are those fixed bid projects? For the fixed bid projects, you have budget and time will be fixed. So for these projects, the budget, the given budget and the allotted time, they will be fixed. And for the billing projects, whoever are the resources working in the project, they will be billed to the client on hourly basis. For example, for a project manager, he may bill like $120 per hour. Or for a solution architect, he may charge like $150 per hour. So that is called billing projects. So these are the two types of projects that we have. Now before getting into more details like what is the project life cycle and what is the methodology that we follow in a project, before getting into this, I want to give you an insight on how an IT company gets the project. Now basically IT project, IT company, any client, what they'll do is, when the client realizes, yes, we have a need to develop a software application, and we have a need for this to develop this software application, we need a project. When the client realizes this need, what he'll do is he'll perform a initial analysis on the required feature. Like, let's say he has some software application and he wants to improvise that software application. So what he'll do is he'll perform an initial analysis, like what needs to be done in order to improve this application or feature. So after this initial analysis, he'll document the requirements that he need to improvise the software application. So this document, what he'll do is he'll publish it to the software companies. Like whatever the software companies are available, he'll publish the document, his requirements document, and that is called request for proposal. That document is called request for proposal. So he is requesting for proposal from the software companies. So along with this request for proposal, he'll also include request for information document. It's a form actually wherein he wants to know more information about the software companies. So he'll attach this RFI, request for information, to the request for proposal document, and he'll publish it. So what the IT companies will do is they'll fill whatever the information that client is looking for in the request for information form, and they'll submit this form with the request for proposal to the client. Now, after the client receives all this, I mean the form and the proposal, what he'll do is he'll conduct a pre-bid conference. What do you have in this pre-bid conference is he'll present like what is this requirement. He'll give a presentation on that, and he'll have a QA session as well. I mean, for QA session in the sense if software companies have any questions, he will be answering those questions. That's the reason he'll present, and then he'll give a QA session. So after this is done, what the client will do is, after this pre-bid conference, the client will do a technical verification. I mean, after the client gets the request for quotation, like whatever the quotation he has got from software companies, according to that quotation, he'll do a technical verification. Why he'll do a technical verification is to know the technical capabilities of the software companies. And then he'll do a financial verification. What is the status of the financial status of the software company? He'll do a financial verification. After this technical and financial verification is done, whoever is the company that is passing this phase, the financial and technical verification phase, will stand a chance for a project allocation. So they'll get, the software company will get the project. So the project will be awarded to the IT company by issuing a statement of work. A statement of work is nothing but a document that defines project specific activities, deliverables and timelines for a vendor providing services to the client. So it's a document that will be given to the IT company by the client. That is called statement of work. This is how an IT company gets the project. So I think you followed these things, right? If you have any questions, just let me know, and if I'm going very fast, just let me know.
Lakshmi, I have a quick question.
Yes,
Do you
please.
have anything, are you presenting something on the screen?
Yes, I have shared my screen. Are you able to see that?
No, the only thing I see, the business analyst trailing introduction to business analysis.
I think I have shared the screen because it is showing as shared.
Okay, I'll refresh my page and see what happens.
How about others?
We're seeing the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, like we are not seeing the presentation.
Okay, okay. Let me pause and then let me
Initially, I
try.
thought you were just talking to.
No, let me pause and let me try again. Uh, please check now.
Oh yeah, now it's on.
Oh, I'm sorry. So were you able to understand about the project and how an IT company gets the project, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, now let's discuss project lifecycle methodology. Like what are the phases that you have in project lifecycle methodology, and how BA is included in each phase. Now the first phase is project initiation phase. Now what is this phase is, This is the first phase in the project management life cycle, and it is the most crucial phase in the project life cycle, as it's the phase in which you define your scope and you hire your team and you develop a business case. Now, business case is a deliverable that you develop in project initiation phase. Now, business case, again, it's a document wherein you have your scope, you define your scope in that business case, and as I said, you hire your team. So this is all you have in the project initiation phase. Now you get into more details about these phases when you get more into the business analysis training sessions. So I am just giving you a brief information about the life cycle methodology. Now in this phase, you also in this business case, you also have questions like, why are we doing this project, and is it feasible, and who are possible partners in this project, what should the results be, and what is outside the scope of the project. So everything will be captured. So case is nothing but it captures the reasoning for initiating a project or task. So it includes the reasons why we are initiating a project and why we need to do this task. As I said, the deliverables are business case and feasibility study. Now, what is feasibility study? It's just a preliminary analysis of solution alternatives. For a problem, do you have any alternative solutions or options? That study is called feasibility study, and how feasible we are to meet the requirements are included in that feasible study. Now the next phase is project planning phase. What do we do in this project planning phase is we define and record requirements, constraints and assumptions. What are the requirements, and do we have any constraints and assumptions? You define them in this project planning phase, and you follow a methodology called SMART methodology. It's the methodology that you follow to set your goals. SMART methodology, I think you might have heard about it, because in every company nowadays they are following the SMART methodology for a performance review. SMART in the sense as specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and timely. So you set your goals, you set your specific goals. So, and while setting your specific goals, you answer the questions like who, what, where, when, which and why, the 5 W questions. And you measure the goal that you have set. When you create a criteria that you can use to measure the goal. And whether the goal is attainable or not, that's the reason you have attainable. So you identify the most important goals and what it will take to achieve them. That is what you do in attainable. And realistic, whatever the goal that you have specified, you have set, is it a realistic? I mean, you should be able to work towards that goal. So that should be a realistic goal. And that goal, whatever the goal that you have set, it should be achieved in a specified time frame. So that's the reason you have to include timely. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. So whatever the task that that was given to you in the project planning phase, you perform this methodology. When you use this methodology to to achieve that goal, the task that was given to you by the client. So in this phase, you also identify the project team. I mean, whoever is working with you, identify their roles and responsibilities, and you create the work breakdown schedule. Now, work breakdown schedule is nothing but a visual representation that breaks down the scope of the project into manageable sections for the team. So that is what the breakdown schedule is. And you develop change management plan. You also need to have a change management plan in place before proceeding, before executing the project. Because in any case, if you get a change request from your client, then you should be able to achieve. I mean, you should be able to uh, give that change using this plan. So you need to have a change management plan in place, and you identify risks and define risk strategies. What are the risks that you might have while developing this project, while working on this project, and what could be followed? I mean, a strategy should be there to minimize these risks. So that's the reason you need to identify risk and define risk strategies. And you need to, everything you do as a business analyst, you need to have approval on that. I mean, you need to have a project manager approval for that. So whatever, I mean, whether you are trying to gather requirements, whether you are documenting the requirements, for every task that you are performing, this is the important point that you have to note, that obtain plan approval. I mean, whatever the document that you are creating, for everything you need to have approval from project manager. The next comes project execution phase. Now, this is the phase where deliverables are developed and completed. So, in this phase, you execute tasks that are defined in the project plan. Whatever the in the second phase, I mean the project planning phase, you have defined and recorded. So everything will be executed in the project execution phase. You implement the procurement of the project resources. If anything is required, I mean procurement management if needed, you will do that. I mean you will perform that. You manage resource allocation. Whatever the team that you have hired, you manage those resources, how they are allocated, their work, you maintain timesheets and everything as per the given task, whether they are able to perform or not. So you will monitor everything. That's the reason the fifth phase, which I have given, monitor and control, it's everywhere. That's the reason I have not included in any phase, because monitor and control is from the beginning to ending of the project life cycle. You need to have this task to be followed. You measure the project performance, and you verify and manage change to the project. So we have already developed the change management plan. So you verify and manage change to the project if any changes occur, and you ensure the project deliverable conform to quality standards. So whatever the deliverable that we are delivering, whether they are up to the standards or not, you conform to quality standards. That's the main thing that you perform in project execution.
Lakshmi,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I have a good question. A
yeah.
lot of things which I'm seeing is actually is it part of sorry project managers duties, or like most of them is not for BA, right?
It's not like that, Rohit. There are few cases wherein BAs also perform these activities. So that's the reason it's good to know all this information. In coming sessions, you will get to know why we have to know all these phases. What are the tasks? So what are the roles and responsibilities, specific roles and responsibilities? And that's the reason we have a slide wherein the similarities of PM role, I mean the project manager role, and the BA role are included. So you will know like what are the roles that you need to perform, what are the skills that are needed as a BA and as a PM.
All right, thanks.
So the next phase is project closure phase. So in this phase, what you will do is you will obtain a final acceptance for the project. So whatever the project you have executed, for that you will obtain a acceptance, and you obtain financial, legal and administrative closure as well, and you release project resources. You document and communicate lessons learned, like whatever the lessons you have learned from these three phases. I mean after performing all these phases, whatever the lessons you have learned, you will document them and you will communicate them. You create and distribute final project report, and then you archive and retain project records. You measure customer satisfaction. After the project is closed, you also measure the customer satisfaction. So these are the 4 phases wherein monitoring and control is also included in these phases. Why I have not given a specific description for monitoring controlling is you have to follow monitoring and controlling in each phase. So that's the reason I have not included it. Now, reason for project initiation, why the projects are initiated. What are the reasons to initiate a project by any organization? Now, there could be several reasons. So, few of them I have listed it here. To cater the market demand, to tackle competition, to increase market share, to comply with regulation, to create a competitive edge, and to exploit emerging opportunity and many other. So project plays essential role in growth and survival of organization in today's rapidly changing competitive business environment, and also in managing the change and achieving the strategies of the enterprise. And all projects are aimed to help the project sponsor in one way or the other to reduce cost, increase revenue, or increase efficiency, or ensure transparency. So, as I said, these are the some of the reasons why we initiate the project. So, one of the reason is market demand. Market demand generally initiates new project. Why? Because to meet the specific needs of a particular customer group. So, in order to meet the specific needs of a customer, let's say if a company has released an application, I mean in a mobile application, and that's because to increase, I mean because of the market demand. I can give you an example of iPhone wherein you have Siri app. Because iPhone has Siri app, the other companies, because there is a huge demand for this iPhone app. That's the reason nowadays the other mobile companies also started developing such applications just like Siri. It may not be that effective, but they have started developing such apps. That's because huge demand, market demand of that application. So that's one of the reason. Strategic opportunity or business need. Organizations might initiate projects to get a strategic opportunity or due to a business need. For example, if a FMCG provider, they might initiate a new product development project that could be, I mean, to increase, that could be to develop as a world's largest FMCG provider in a specific product group. So that could be their business need. So that's the reason they might initiate a project, and it can be a social need as well, uh, or environmental consideration. We have recently, I mean, we have a Go Green concept. So for that need, you might initiate a project. And the other one is customer request. So if ultimately this is the most common reason to initiate projects, if the customer wants to develop a site, then that's a customer request. You need to initiate a project. Or a technological advancement. I mean, uh, going through the technology that we have currently, you might initiate a project to improvise whatever the application that you have, the current application that you have. So that could be one of the reasons. So these are the few reasons for project initiation. Now you all know about what is projects and what do we do in projects, how an IT company gets the project. And similarly, what is operations? Operations are an organization function performing the ongoing execution of activities that produce the same product or provide a repetitive service. Now, an ongoing work effort is generally a repetitive process. Why? Because it follows an organization's existing procedures. So this ongoing execution of activities, they produce the same result or product repetitively is what operations is all about. Now I can give you examples of operations, production operations, accounting operations, manufacturing a product are all operation activities. That's why we call the operations as ongoing activities. Whereas projects are temporary in nature and can help achieve the organization goals when they are aligned with organization strategies. So projects are temporary while operations are ongoing. Now operations require business process management or operations management. Business process management are ongoing and they have no clearly defined beginning or the end states. And they are customer driven and they are repeatable actions. But projects require project management. So they are time bound and have a customer, have clear beginning and end states. The projects can be short as a half a day or be as long as number of years. So longer projects are often broken down into phases or stages. Now each one becomes a project unto itself. Now the goal of a process management is to improve processes continuously. Improving operational processes may increase effectiveness, cut costs. This is for operations. And they can gain competitive advantage. Now these projects, they follow a specific cycle of initiation, the definition, planning. As you know, they follow a methodology, project life cycle methodology. So initiation, definition, planning, execution, and closure states. Now projects are about driving change in the organization. So these are the differences about between operations and projects. Now I can give you an example of operations and projects. Now operations is like supporting users is an operational work. See, there may be a help desk or a support team whose job is to settle the user's ad hoc requirements. For example, you create a user ID, you create a forgotten password, you add access control, you fix duplicates, or you may encounter with some bugs. So you try to troubleshoot them, you try to fix them. That's the activity that is performed by help desk people. So that is called operational work. That's an ongoing activity. Those are the routine tasks, I mean the day-to-day tasks that a help desk team performs. However, some support requests, they may turn out to be too big or too difficult to do, or they may be beyond the scope of the support team. This might require the project team to be roped in. So they will scope the requirements, they look at the benefits, and then they work out a time or cost estimate. And if the budget can be found through a sponsor, and this can become a project. Otherwise, it will stay as a support ticket which will be completed or in a closed state. So that is the difference between operations and projects. Why does a project need a project manager and business analyst? Because you need to have, let me give you scenarios. Like, let's say if you have a strong project manager and if you have a weak business analyst, do you think that project will be successful?
Probably not.
Yes. And in another scenario, let's say if a business analyst, if you have a strong business analyst and if you have a weak project manager, would that be successful? I mean, would that project be successful?
No.
Yes. So in order for the project to be successful, you need to have a strong project manager and a strong business analyst. That is the best way to guarantee success of any type of project, any type of project. So it's to have a strong experienced project manager and a strong experienced business analyst. Let's get into more details about project manager and business analyst. Why I'm saying project lead, a project manager and a business analyst. Now, what is the role of a project manager in any project? The project manager is responsible for directing the project's resources, developing the project plan, ensuring that the project is completed on time, and that too within budget and within acceptable quality. So he has the overall responsibility for the successful initiation, planning, design, execution, monitoring, controlling, and closure of a project. So he plays a primary role in interfacing and coordinating with customers and management as well. And apart from these roles, he also performs line management, cost management, communication, quality, product status, product versus project needs, changes, like as I said, as I told you about the change management. So he need to take care about the changes as well. What are the user needs? He needs to monitor the progress of the project, planning, teamwork, all the team members, whether they are working closely or not for the successful completion of the project, and what is the strategy that they are following, and everything should be maintained by the project manager. He will manage all these things. So line management is nothing but it's describing the administration of activities that contribute directly to the output of products or services. And cost management is like planning and controlling of the budget of a business. So that is the role of a project manager. Now, what is business analyst and what is the role of a business analyst in business analysis? Business, as per the Babuk definition, business analysis is the set of tasks, knowledge, and techniques required to identify business needs and determine solutions to business problems. So it's a task of, my definition is, it's a task of understanding business change needs, assessing the business impact of those changes, capturing those changes, analyzing and documenting requirements, and supporting the communication and delivery of requirements with relevant stakeholders. So that is all about business analysis. Now it is performed to define and validate solutions that meet business needs, goals or objectives. So what kind of solutions are there? Solutions can be system development component. I mean, you may give a solution for a system development component, or it might be a process improvement change. For a process improvement problem, you might give a solution, or for an organizational change, you might give a solution. So these are the three categories of solutions that BA comes up with. Now, what is the role of a business analyst? So business analyst is often seen a communication bridge between IT and the business stakeholder. So he acts as a communication bridge between IT and the business stakeholder. Now he'll understand the problems, business problems and opportunities in the context of the requirements, and he'll recommend the solutions for the organizations to achieve its goals. So a business analyst works as a liaison among stakeholders to elicit, to analyze, to communicate and to validate requirements for changes to business processes, policies and information systems. The business analyst understands business problems and opportunities in the context of the requirements and recommends solutions that enable the organization to achieve its goals. And he is also responsible for ensuring the project's output meet the requirements of the business. Whatever the requirements he has gathered, Whether the project output is meeting those requirements or not is his responsibility. See, this is the role of a business analyst in a project. He'll identify the problem, the first task, and he'll identify needs, and then he'll define the scope, and as per the scope and the requirements, he elicited the requirements. So there are different techniques that needs to be followed while eliciting the requirements. So we'll get into more about the elicitation techniques, and then
Lakshmi, I
after,
have a quick question.
yes, please.
I'm sorry. In this scenario also when we are discussing, I know this is the role of business analyst. Does he get help from project manager also in doing all these
Yes,
steps?
yes. Uh, Initially, when client gives the requirements, he'll provide a requirements document. Nowadays, clients are giving the requirement document to BA. So from the document itself, half of the requirements will be gathered. And to confirm those requirements are perfect, you do a elicitation, you follow a elicitation technique wherein project manager would be involved in that technique, whatever the technique that you have decided on. There are few techniques. So according to those techniques, even project manager would be involved in that. So to confirm the gathered requirements are perfect or not. And then you communicate the requirements. Whatever the gathered requirements are there, you communicate them. And after communicating, you verify the requirements. Whether the requirements that are gathered are perfectly fine or not, whether they are meetable or not, everything will be done in verification process. Now, business analysis body of knowledge. This is a BABUK. This is also called as, it's a guide to business analysis. It's a globally recognized standard usually we follow for business analysis. So in this book, it describes like what is the role of a business analyst and what are the phases that are involved, what are the skills, knowledge areas that a business analyst must have. That is included in this BABUK book. I think you have that BABUK book available in online. You can get it. So business analysis.
Haven't you done this before?
Sorry.
Isn't this we did last class also?
Yeah, I'm giving a repetitive session of the last class because there are few candidates, new candidates that they have joined. So that's the reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Sorry.
That's okay. So as I said, these are the knowledge areas that each business analyst should have. So we'll talk more about these knowledge areas. Role of a BA and project manager. So we already discussed about it. A project manager is ultimately responsible for ensuring the objectives of a project are met and the outputs are delivered on time, to cost and to quality. So that is his role. And as a business analyst, you are responsible for ensuring the project's output meet the requirements of the business and they are fit for purpose. That is your role, as a business analyst. Now, let's differentiate the knowledge areas that business analyst has and the project manager has. As a BA, you need to have knowledge area on enterprise analysis, planning and management, requirements elicitation, requirements analysis and documentation, requirements communication, and requirements implementation. So usually I can call them as the phases that you follow as a business analyst. The first phase is enterprise analysis phase. You perform an enterprise analysis phase This is also called as pre-project activity. After performing the enterprise analysis, you plan and you manage the requirements, and you follow a technique in requirements elicitation, and then you gather the requirements, and in requirements analysis and documentation, whatever the requirements that you have gathered, you analyze them, you prioritize them, you verify them whether they are fit, whether that is a perfect solution or not, and then you document those requirements. And after documenting the requirements, you communicate the requirements. Once they are communicated, you implement the requirements. So these are the phases that every BA follows. And then as a project manager, the knowledge areas are like integration, scope management, time management, cost management, human resource management, communication management, quality management, risk management, procurement. So everything will be taken care by project manager. You need not worry about these knowledge areas. The only thing you need to concentrate is the knowledge areas that were listed for BA. So the scope management or the time management or the cost management will be taken care by the project manager. Now skill set comparison. There are few similarities. I think Rohit, this answers your questions. The similarities and the differences that you have in skills for project manager and BA. So as a project manager, you must have strong communication skills. The same thing applies to business analyst. I think we already discussed in our first slide what are the skills that business analyst should have: communication, presentation, and writing ability, critical thinking. So that comes into this strong communication skills. And then understanding of the SDLC, software development lifecycle. What are the different phases that you have in software development lifecycle? You need to have understanding on that. Same applies to business analyst. And negotiation or consensus building, you need to have this skill as well. It's same as business analyst. Uh, why you need to have this skill is while handling the change request, you need to negotiate with the client, like whatever the change requests that have come while working on a project. So that negotiation or consensus building, for that reason you need to have this skill. And strong interpersonal and client management skills you must have. And even the project manager has the same skill. So these are some similarities in the skills comparison. Now, what are the differences? Project manager has the ability to see the big picture for the project. He has a command over the project, so he'll manage the complete project. So he'll have the big picture for the project. Now, business analyst is detail oriented. He mainly concentrates on requirements, gathering and documenting and prioritizing, verifying, and then implementing. So everything is detail oriented. So that's what he is more concerned about. And project manager, he directs the project team, but whereas business analyst, he listen to subject matter experts, whatever the technical stakeholders that he is working with, he listens to the people, he listens to those stakeholders, like what are the possible solutions, how to validate the solutions, how to prioritize them. Everything will be taken care by business analyst. Now, in project manager, he helps the project team to get things done. And business analyst, he helps SMEs describe how and why they perform tasks. Project manager ensures that the project is delivered on time within budget. And business analyst, he'll ensure that product is built right. SME is a subject matter expert. He'll have grip on technical stuff, like whatever he is dealing with. And let's say we are developing a feature. That is our project. Now, to develop that feature, you need to have some technical capabilities. So That's when SMEs comes into picture. So that is about SME. So project manager, he removes issue barriers and he identifies a business analyst, he identifies the business issues. If there are any business issues, he identifies them, he, he updates it to the project manager, and the project manager will try to remove those issue barriers. What are the, why the issues are causing and how to remove them, that will be taken care by the project manager. And project manager manages project change control. If there are any change requests, that will be controlled by the project manager. The business analyst, he'll manage requirements change request. There would be some requirements changes coming while working on project, so that will be managed by business analyst. So project manager manages the work breakdown structure. We already discussed about it. It's a graphical representation, visual representation of the breakdown of work structure. So that will be managed by the project manager. He will take care of that. And business analyst, he'll perform requirements related task in the, whatever the tasks that were given to as a business analyst, he'll perform those tasks in the work breakdown structure. Now, project manager possesses management skills, whereas business analyst possesses investigative skills. Why investigative? Because all the time you need to investigate to get the requirements. So that is, those are the differences in the skills. Okay. How do a PM and a business analyst work together? I think Rohit, this also answers your question. What are the activities that are performed by a project manager, and the BA, how he will perform, like what are the things that he will take care of. Now, in the project initiation phase, project manager deals with scope, budget and team, whereas BA, he will deal with the scope. So budget and team will be taken care by project manager, but scope, you have to take care of it. I mean, you need to define the scope in the project initiation phase. What is the scope and everything in the initiation phase. Now the requirements phase, planning will be done by the project manager. Whatever the planning is done, those requirements, the planned requirements will be documented by business analyst. Similarly, in the design and implementation of the planning phase, you come up with design documents, you come up with testing and training materials, and what are the strategies that needs to be followed, you will come up with those plans. And after that, you have construction, QA, implementation. So project manager will take care of execution and controlling of these phases. And project manager, as a business analyst, you will create a test case, you will test them, you will try to test them, and you will give it to UAT, I mean user acceptance testing, wherein the user will be performing the testing. I mean, the client, from the client side, let's say you have developed a feature, and how it is working, you will test it. As a BA, you have to test this, because as per the requirements, the feature is developed or not, you need to check that. So for that reason, you test it. After testing it, you need to give the same feature to the client before implementing, before getting into production. You need to give it to the client for a testing purpose. He should say, yes, it is fine. Or if he has anything, any changes to be done, he will let you know. That's the reason UAT will be there, user acceptance testing. And then train. You will train the team like how to access that feature, what all the things that you need to do in that feature. You will do a system checkout, and then closure, wherein you give the feature is released to the production. That is what, I mean, while execution of a project, how a project manager and a BA will work together. So more about business analysis, you have these links, just follow these links. You will find the skill sets of a business analyst. what does a business analyst do in a software project, what are the certifications you have, and how the career path would be. So everything will be given, I mean, in these links. So just go through those links. Now let's have a brief information about SDLC. We'll get into, okay, which certification you should do is, as per the BABUK, that is what we follow. IIBA is the standard that we follow for BABUK. So there are few IIBA certifications. That's beginner certification that you can, I mean, after completing this course, you can go ahead with that certification. But the professional and everything, I mean, for the professional certifications, you need to have some experience. You need to have experience on business analysis. So that you will get once you join any company. It's a foundation certificate. The first certificate is a foundation certificate. You just type IIBA certifications in Google, you will get the information about the certifications. And also you can go through our link, business analysis certifications, youtube.com in YouTube, or in Mindsmap blog, you have the information about IIBA certification. What is a foundation certification? What is a professional certification? And what is the criteria for these certifications? Everything will be there in the certification video and the link blog. Okay, what is SDLC? SDLC is a software development lifecycle. It's a methodology that we follow. There are different methodologies that companies follow, but the most important is the agile methodology. So we'll talk about the agile methodology in while we continue with our business analysis sessions. So what is SDLC? SDLC is a framework defining tasks performed at each step in the software development process. It's a structure followed by a development team within the software organization. And it's a life cycle model which defines phases, milestones, deliverables, and evaluation criteria for software development process. So for software to develop, there are different phases involved. So each phase is well defined in the software development lifecycle. And there are various, as I said, there are various SDLC methodologies that have been developed to guide the process involved. So this is the, this wheel shows you the phases that are there in the life cycle. So first phase is initiation and analysis or planning. So that is define project scope. That is when you define your project scope in the initiation phase or in the analysis or planning phase. I think we already discussed about all these phases. So it's similar to the business analysis phase that we follow for the SDLC as well. The second phase is design and requirement specification phase, wherein you specify features, you have a baseline system. So whatever the requirements that you have planned, you specify them, you document them, and you design them. Design the documents or features, and then you develop them. When the product is built, you develop the codes, and then you develop the feature, I mean application or an application, and you test it. Whatever the product that you have developed, you will test it. And then after it is tested and it is tested by users, the client, you will deliver the product to the customer. Once the product is delivered, you will also support the product. You will give the support to the product. That is what is SDLC development process. Now, we already discussed about the phases in the knowledge areas like requirement analysis, requirement planning, design phase, develop phase. So in what are the activities that we perform in requirement analysis as a business analyst? From deliverables such as feasibility report, cost benefit analysis, risk assessment, business use cases, vision document, these are all the documents that you create in the requirement analysis phase. So while in order to develop these documents, you perform these activities: elicitation, validation, specification, and verification. So what are the deliverables of requirement analysis phase is functional specification document. So you follow this documents, you come up with a deliverable, that is functional specification document, which includes the technicalities and non-technicalities in the document for the product. So that is what about FSD. It's called FSD, Functional Specification Document. And then you also develop SSD, that is Software Specification Document, and a user requirement document, use case specification, and addendum. You will get to know about this when we discuss more in detail about each phase. So role of a BA in requirement analysis: requirements gathering, workshop facilitation, interviews. So I told you, like, we have few elicitation techniques. So these are the techniques: workshop facilitation, interviews, observation, research. These are the techniques that you follow to gather your requirements. And after gathering the requirements, you document them. So what are documented? Business requirements document, requirement traceability document, functional and non-functional requirements. That's what we talked about SRS, Software Requirement Specification. So that needs to be documented. These are the documents that you will document in the requirement document. Elicitation is nothing but gathering the information. You are trying to gather. Let's say I want to know more information about you. So in order to know more information about a candidate, what I'll do, I'll try to ask them what is your background, what is your name, what is your email address, what do you do. So that's an example I'm just giving you. So that's how you elicitate. You ask for the information. That is what called elicitation. Now this is where the BA will also use their modeling skills. No problem, Smita. I think that answered your question about elicitation, right?
Oh, yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And this is where the BA will use their modeling skills to document business requirement. Modeling skills, I think you might have heard about use case diagrams and activity diagrams. It's a kind of flow charts that you design, that you create. That's called modeling skill. You model the requirements using use case and activity diagrams. For a better understanding of requirements. Normally textual information, visual representation of textual information gives more impact than just giving the textual information. I think you understood what I'm trying to say, right? I'm looking for responses.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Okay. Let's say, see, the information that I have presented, let's say if I have given only the information, will you be able to understand? Or if I give you a visual representation of the textual information, whatever I have presented, that would give you a more impact. Which one would be better? A visual representation?
Visual.
Yes. So that's why you use this technique. Modeling skills are required. That's when you use case diagram and activity diagram, so that you give all your requirements in the form of a flow chart. You give it to your technical team so that they will be able to understand easily those requirements, and they will try to design or develop the feature based on that diagram. And requirements validation and prioritization activities. See, while eliciting requirements, you may get so much of information, so much of requirements. So what you will do is, there might be some unnecessary requirements. So you need to prioritize the requirements. Which one is useful, which one is not useful. That's when you do a prioritization. And then after prioritizing the requirements, you validate those requirements. Whether they are required or not, you validate them. And then stakeholder engagement. You will engage with the stakeholders. Stakeholders are nothing but the technical team with which you are working. You have a developer, you have a designer, you have an architect. So you work with these people. Those are the stakeholders. And then the design phase. So after requirement analysis, you have a design phase. In this phase, the detailed functional requirements created will be transformed into complex detailed system design, including screen layouts, business rules, process diagrams, and other documents. So in this design phase, whatever the functional requirements that you have created, what you will do is you will create a prototypes of those requirements. I mean, wireframing diagrams. I think you might have heard about it. If I'm developing a site, I need to create a layout of that site. That is what called prototyping. You just try to create the layout of that site, how it looks like, using your process, I mean, using your prototypes and the diagrams that you have created, I mean, the modeled use case or the activity diagrams. Using those diagrams, the design team, I mean, the developing team, they will come up with a design document. And technical design specification, what are they have followed in the design document, that will be specified in the technical design specification. This will be taken care by the developing team. So the only thing that you need to do is you create screen layouts and the process diagrams in the design phase. That is your role. And role of a business analyst in design phase. C. Review the solution documents. Work closely with the solution designer and architects to ensure requirements are clear. Keep the stakeholders engaged to reassure them their requirements are implemented as specified in the business requirement artifacts. In some projects such as agile projects, this part of iteration will have close involvement of stakeholders right through the SDLC. So this software development lifecycle, as I said, there are different kinds of methodologies that will be followed. One of the methodology is agile methodology. So we will discuss more about this agile methodology when we get into deeper of business analysis sessions. So let's discuss about this when we get into that. And then manage the changes to requirements both from the business and from your solution designer's point of view to a change control process. It is a great time to actively start using the requirements traceability matrix. Requirements traceability matrix is nothing but a Excel sheet wherein in that Excel sheet what each role, I mean resource role is performing, that will be, I mean, on a day-to-day basis, like where is the project now. So as per the, let's say if a coder is, I mean, if a developer is coding, then which phase of coding it is in. So everything will be mentioned in the requirements traceability matrix. That you have to take care about that. You will just give the Excel sheet to the technical team. You will ask them to fill like what is the current phase and everything. So they will fill it and give it to you. So that's a simple thing. Or they'll give you the information, you need to fill the same in the requirement traceability matrix. And then comes the after designing phase, you have a development phase. In this phase, the developers convert a complete design into an information system. So input definition phase, and then there is a development phase. So in this, in the input definition phase, 30% of the design is completed. And in the development phase, 100% design output is created. That is what is in development phase. Role of a BA in development phase. The business analyst role is lighter during this phase. As I said, in the development phase, only thing that you need to do is create prototypes and create UML diagrams, that is use case and activity diagrams, and you give those diagrams and prototypes to your development team so that they will look into that, and based on that they will come up with a design. That's what the role of a BA in development phase is. So the business analyst role is lighter during this phase. In small teams, it can happen that the BA is asked to clarify requirements, or in agile projects, the BA will be asked to review prototypes. So whatever the prototypes that we have created, the BA will be asked to review them. So the design that they come up with, the development team, they will compare the design with the prototype that BA has given. So according to that prototype, they'll ask, they'll in the sense, the development team, they'll ask the BA to review the prototype and the document that, and the site or whatever the application they have created. Testing phase. After developing the software, in the testing phase, the testers will be, the QA team will be testing the feature or the application or the software. So testing phase demonstrates that the developed system conform to requirements as specified in the functional specification document. So it is conducted by QA team with BA support if needed. So what are the deliverables in the testing phase? Test plan, test strategy, test scripts, test cases are there in the testing phase. These are developed by the QA team. And sometimes you need to create a test case, so wherein information will be given by QA team to you, so that you can follow the same information and you create a test case. Role of a BA in testing phase. During the testing phase, the business analyst can assist with the reviewing test scripts to ensure all functional requirements are being tested. So I think we already discussed about it. In the testing phase, whatever the feature or the software or the application they have developed, the developing team, you need to test that. You need to test whether they are up to your requirements or not, and then you will give it to the user to test it. That is called user acceptance testing. So a business analyst will also get involved with the defect prioritization in some projects. Defect prioritization, in case if you find any defects in the developed feature, application or software, you will also be involved in that defect prioritization. Now, release and maintenance. Once the software or the application is developed and it is tested, and if everything goes fine, you will release and you will do a maintenance. So includes what the release and maintenance stage is like. It includes the preparation of the system into a production environment. When you release it to the production environment, and if any problems are identified, you will resolve those problems in the test phase itself, because as you do a testing, you will get to know like what are the problems that you may come up with in the whatever the software or the application that they have developed. So once it is released to a production environment, a client will be able to access it, and the training manuals will be created, the documentation. I think you know about the product documentation team. They will work on the training manuals. Sometimes you might come up with some training manuals wherein you try to document the information like how to perform, how to use that software, what are the activities that can be performed using this software and everything. And then maintenance includes post-implementation problems and add-on requests by the client. So maintenance, what you have, if there are, after releasing it to the production, if you have any problems with the developed feature or product or software, you will do a maintenance for that. You will support it. And what are the deliverables in this phase? The software application, test case and reports. So that's all you have in SDLC life cycle. So what are the current trends in business analysis? Don't expect to get all information upfront. I mean, you cannot expect everything in the first phase itself. So, and then you focus more on business analysis. What are the skills? What are the methodologies? What are the skill sets required? And you focus more on business. What are the elicitation techniques you have? And how do you deal with that? So everything you have to focus more on business analysis. Focus on adding the business value, adoption of professional BA approach, more communication, building better business cases. It's always plus to be a bit technical. It's not required, I mean, it's not mandatory that you need to have technical knowledge, but it would be great, I mean, if you have, it's an add-on actually, to have a technical expertise. So these are a few links wherein you can follow us on. And I already told you about the Minds Mapped site wherein you have everything, sessions, I mean the videos and knowledge base, everything you have in Minds Map sites. So let me know if you have any other questions.